morning, and how are you doing this morning? It is a lovely morning. It is a day that God has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. The clouds are out heavy. I did see a peek of the sun a few minutes ago. So maybe the sun will shine today. And I need to say to someone, you're going to be okay. God dropped in my spirit that you've been worried and stressed. You don't know which way to go or what to do. God says you're going to be okay. It's going to work out for your good and his glory. So let it go. Release it. It's all right. You're going to be okay. I don't know who that's for, but it was in my spirit. So I wanted to share it with you. And what great segue, a great segue into what I want to talk about today, because for a few minutes, I just want to talk to you about faith. Where is your faith? Growing up, my mom always asked me in times of storms, trials, struggles, strife, problems, she would ask me, where is your faith? Because I was one that worried and stressed and couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. And she would come to me face to face, look me in my eyeballs and say, where is your faith? Even when she was in Jersey and I was in Atlanta, she would call me on the phone. And if I was going through something, she would ask me, where is your faith? When she moved to South Carolina and I moved back to Jersey, she would call me during the rough patches of my life and ask me, where is your faith? So this morning, I want to ask you, where is your faith? Is your faith in God? Is your faith in overcoming? Is your faith in the healing? Is your faith in the answer coming? Is your faith in the problem being solved? Or is your faith in doubt, worry, concern, overwhelming feelings of loss, or you're not going to make it, or it's a detriment, it's death, the doctor's report is what's going to happen? Where is your faith? This morning during my time of devotion, I was led to Luke 8. In Luke 8, it talks about the disciples being on the boat. You remember that story where the storm came to and fro, winds were blowing, water was coming, and the disciples were afraid. During all of these problems and issues and struggles and storm, Jesus was down below sleeping. You remember that, right? In all the stories, because it's in Matthew also, it talks about Jesus quieting the storm. You remember, peace be still. Well, I want to say to you this. In Luke 8, there's a curious question that's asked, and it stuck with me this morning. Where is your faith? He asked them that. And they looked at him because he had quieted the storm. And they said, what manner is this that he could just tell the storm to stop and it stops? And I want to say to you, ask you, where is your faith? I understand that you're worried. You have some doubt. There's some fear there. You are stressed. You're overwhelmed. And I want to say to you, in my times of being overwhelmed, I sometimes forget that God is bigger than what I'm overwhelmed by. Sometimes I don't remember that God is bigger than my issue. Sometimes I don't think about God having the answer for me, that God promised me something. Sometimes I look at my problem, my issue, my stress, my worry as this big, ginormous giant. But I forget that even for as big as it is, there's somebody bigger, someone who has an answer, someone who promised me that I would overcome. So you're worrying, you're stressing. And I want to ask you this question. In your worrying, your stressing, and your concern, in your doubt, and your fear, in feeling overwhelmed, you staying up all night, you're not getting any rest, no sleep, you're not eating or you're overeating, you're trying to sex it away, smoke it away, eat it away, worry it away. Can you really control the situation? Do you really have control over the illness your doctor says you have? Do you really have control over your home being foreclosed? Do you really have control over your car being repossessed? Do you have any control over that man saying he wants to divorce you? Do you have any control over that woman who cheated on you? Do you have any control over the bills that are keep collecting? Do you have any control over the job that lets you go? I can hear you. I hear you. You're saying, well, yeah, I can control my illness because if I had exercised and ate right, yeah, I can control the foreclosure because had I paid my mortgage, it wouldn't have happened. Yeah, I can control the eviction because if I paid my rent, I wouldn't be evicted. Yeah, I can control the repossession because had I paid my car note, yeah, I can control the person cheating on me because maybe if I had spent more time. But here's what I want to say to you. There are some things, for whatever reason, are out of our control. Yeah, you could have paid your rent, but did you have the money? Yeah, you could have been a better worker and been on time and did your work while at work. However, if the workload lessened, if cutbacks happened, if a corporation was sold to a smaller company, see, there's some things that are going to happen in your life that, yes, you are an active participant in, like you choosing to get that Birkin bag instead of paying your rent. Yep, you caused that situation to happen. Yes. But there's some situations where you're let go for whatever reason and it's not your fault and you didn't have control over that. There's some illnesses, no matter how much you exercise, no matter how much you eat right, no matter how much water you drink, no matter what you do, unfortunately, they're going to become a problem in your life. There's some things, there's some storms, there's some situations, there's some issues, there's some problems, there's some trauma that you didn't cause. Nothing you could have done would have prevented it. But where you do have control is how you handle the situation you're in. You can worry, you can stress, you can overeat, you can oversex, you can oversmoke, you can oversniff, you can inject. You can do all those things, but the situation is not going to change. Even if a solution comes to you, it might just be temporary. But I want to tell you today, instead of having faith in those things that cover the issue, those crutches we have, those secret activities we do that everybody doesn't know about. Instead of leaning on those things, because they're only for a moment. Can I be real with you? Can we be real this morning? And I'm gonna be real. So be prepared. You might need to pray as I say this. If you're trying to sex it away, once the deed is done, there's no more distraction. That deed is not going to cover hours, days, and weeks. That one deed is not going to take you away from the problem. When you finish smoking, after that high leaves, you still got to face the situation. After you stealing, whatever you stole is stolen, that high that you got, that distraction that happened for that moment, it's gone. And you still have to deal with your problem and your situation. So instead of having faith in temporary things, instead of leaning towards those habits, instead of relying on those distractions, how about have faith in the one who is the problem solver? They had an issue on that water. They were afraid that they were going to drown. Never in their thinking did they think, hey, wake Jesus up and ask him to stop the storm. They didn't think that. Instead, they were like, why are you sleeping? We're about to die. We're about to perish. We are not going to be here anymore. How could you sleep? When they had the problem solver right in the midst. You have the problem solver right in the midst. The one that can say, mortgage paid, new job, new car, a godly man, a godly woman, a godly marriage. The one who can fix your issue, the one that can touch your body and say, heal. The one who can touch your mind and say, be healed. The one that can touch your heart and say, you're no longer broken. He's in the midst. Instead of having faith that things are going to go wrong and go bad, and you're listening to the reports and you're seeing what the negativity is, how about have faith in the one that can turn your whole situation around? No, not 360, but 180 degrees. Because 180 means we're turning away from what we're facing. When we go 360, we go back to what we were facing at first. I'm sorry, I just had to say that. My daughter knows me. But I just wanted to share this with you this morning because there's somebody out there. Your faith is in your fear. Your faith is in your doubt. Your faith is in your stress. Your faith is in your overwhelming situation. And you're not even considering that you got the problem solver right in your midst. And can I say this before I close? Sometimes the problem will not change, even as you pray. There's some things that God wants you to go through because it's going to strengthen you for a situation you're going to have down the line. Or it's your testimony that you have to share with someone else who is not as strong as you are. And the fact that you went through it and you're going through it and you're strong and you're smiling and you're laughing, even though the world around you is collapsing, will strengthen someone else to push forward. Then there are times that God is going to change your situation. It's just not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen in a few days. It's not going to happen in a few weeks. It's not going to happen in a few months. It's not going to happen in a few years. It may be 25 years before you're released from it, but it's going to happen. So I want to leave this with you today. Where is your faith? All that time you're spending worrying, stressing, not eating, not sleeping, trying to cope, using the crutches and the distractions and the habits to make it through, I challenge you today to put them to the side and begin praying like never before. And when you pray this time, leave it with God. What do I mean by that? Don't pray, God, can you help me out of this situation? And then, amen. And you finish and you're like, okay, how do I do it? What do I need to do? Who do I need to borrow from? What medicine can I take? How do I know? That's taking it right back from him because you're trying to figure it out. And it's so hard. Can I confess that is one of the hardest things that I have to do in life? Faith is my challenge. And that's why I'm challenging you today. Because as I challenge you, I'm challenging myself. As I go through things to leave it with God and stop taking it from his hand. Because I can't fix it anyway. I know somebody who can. So since he's the expert and I'm not, it's just like when you go get your car fixed. If you don't know anything about fixing your car, why would you try to fix it? You wouldn't. You would pay somebody who has gone to school or who has the training that knows how to fix it. And you would trust that if they say they know how to fix it, that they will fix it. Do the same with God. He's been schooled in everything we've been through. So you haven't. Instead of you trying to figure it out, take it to the person who's the expert, who's been trained, who's been schooled, who has the knowledge, the wisdom, and the understanding of how to fix the situation in your life. Trust him. Have faith in him. Remember, faith it, believe it, trust it. God can help you. Where is your faith? Have an awesome day today. I pray this word would touch your ears and your hearts, your minds, your soul, and your spirit, and that you would be loosed from some of the worry and stress that you've been going through. Trust him. He has the solution for you. Have an awesome day.